Hey guys, so we're back again with the texturing inside Mari, the color map for Mike, and like I told you guys before, successful texturing is all about layering. So if we start with this projection, we need to continue adding layers and layers of realism to the skin, uh, and of course by that I don't mean that you should just keep putting a lot of details in there. I mean, you should have like the right amount of details, like the perfect amount of details, without making it very, very busy. Especially that the color map doesn't need to have a lot of information, like shadow or specular information. So what I mean is just like variations in color. That's what I mean by layering and adding details. So last time I had this kind of images loaded, the texturing XYZ images, and I made this quick like mashup of colors, of projections on the skin. And if you see here, this is how it looks like. And if you remember, we added this color layer. So if you see without this is basically our projection. And also we started with a little bit of refining. So if I also remove this layer, you will see that this was basically, oh, this one, yeah, so this was basically our projection. So what I will do now is that I will continue going more into details and texturing and refining the textures that I already laid a base of. So let me turn on again my color, my basic color. And by the way, for the basic color, what you need to do is just basically just when you have here, like I showed you before, you just go here and then add basic color, and that's how you add a basic color layer. And then if you go here, you can use this eyedropper, and then you can select the color from the skin that's existing, and this way, you see, you can change the color of the map. So what I try to do is that I try to pick a color that's like in the middle of the darkest and the lightest pigment of his skin projection. So something like that is fine. And this way I make sure that I'm like covering everything on his face. We're gonna also go in details like adding special colors like inside his eyes or inside his nostrils, or even on the inner mouth and the lips, for example. And of course the ears, like I told you, it's one of the trickiest parts to project details on. So we're gonna also refine that. We are also going to refine like the texture on the head, and especially that we know that his head is gonna be shaved. So if I look on my reference, let me get a color one. So here you can see that his skin gets lighter when it gets to his shaved head, because you know how your hair is protecting or shielding your skin from the sun, and that's why your scalp is has always a lighter color. So we're gonna also have that in mind. And again, like I showed you before in the last video, at the very end, I told you about the variations that we're gonna have in the color, in the skin tones. Like for example, you see here like more of a generic reddish color in his nose, on his lips, while you can see a little bit of purple or blue, a little bit of green, and lighter colors like around the eyes, and you can see more of a greenish or yellowish in the areas that doesn't have that much blood. And of course, like I showed you before, there is greenish or grayish kind of tones around his shaved head and around his shaved beard. So we're gonna also have that in mind once we start finalizing our color map. So so yeah, let's continue going with that. So let me move this out of the way, and let's first, before doing anything, let's first refine our map. And if you remember this layer, it was just I was just selecting my super soft basic brush and just layering some colors to even out the overall of the color, because this kind of breakup is not good. It doesn't look realistic, and in the same time it's not the right value in the right place. So what I try to do is that I can go out here and then can make my brush bigger, and then again make sure that I have my super soft brush selected, and then I can also, like, the flow and the opacity, especially in Mari, the brushes are really crude and strong, so it's always good if you like adjust your opacity and your flow a little bit to make it have the kind of pressure sensitivity effect. And then I will try to cover all these crazy levels or values shifts in the color. So for example, I can select a color like this and then go here and like paint over it. I feel like my opacity was too much, so I can go to that and then go here again, and maybe make my flow a little bit bigger. And yeah, that's too much now. Let's find the sweet spot. So maybe something like 0.4 or 0.5. So 0.4 for example, and that's amazing. Yeah, that's perfect. So don't worry guys about like pores or skin details that we might be losing while doing this, because we're gonna regenerate that back again, like I told you, once we start adding like layers of details and stuff like that. So something like this. You're also welcome to do that on a layer that's not a normal layer, like a layer that has a kind of adjustment to it, like a multiply or a overlay or something like that. But for now, let's go with like a normal layer, and then we can like affect the opacity of this layer later like that to maybe regain a little bit of the details. So yeah, something like this. And again, try to not stick to one color, try to pick more than one color while you're covering this these value changes areas. So something like that. Yeah, I can come here, get this color, add this, something like that. Here, more. So yeah. And you see, like with our like shader on, of course the shaders inside Mari are not the best, but you can see that you will not, it's just an indication that shows you that you will not see all these huge softness in textures or value changes once you start your skin shading. We basically can see it because it's still a in the flat mode without any shader applied to it. So yeah, maybe something like that also. And yeah, so stuff like that. So I will just cover these areas quickly, guys, to not waste of our time in the video, and then I will come back again, and then we will start to like project the details and cover all the areas that we missed on the initial projection. So yeah, see you in a minute. So as you can see, guys, without the layer that I quickly painted for the value changes and width, so we have now like a better overall value that's more realistic than all these breakups that we were having earlier. Okay, so what I will do next is that I will start to refine my projection more. So add a new layer, and then start going over areas again and refine them. So maybe get this one. And maybe find this cheek area here. Again, shift minus to affect the opacity of my my projection image. And then let's try to paint with more of a harder tip brush. So I like this this brush. It's called the Storm Cloud, and let's see how it looks like. So yeah, stuff like that. And I forgot, and I was using the images and not the raw images and not the albedo ones. So let's get the albedo one like here. And let's do that again. So yeah, that's really nice. So this way we are adding like sharper details into our model. So you can see here, maybe you can get a little bit of that. Something like this. You can go to the side view. with this one. Maybe this one would be better. Again, we're gonna try to change the lighter colors in the skin that we are painting here. And again, remember, it's all about the layering. So even if we keep repeating that, it's always good for us, because this will add like richer details to our painting. We go to the other side. It's this one. Maybe this one. And sometimes you might cheat a little bit and like select an area that's not exactly where you should be projecting, but it will add the similar and nice details, but it will be what you want without any changes in the values or in the overall color. Or maybe it's flat and doesn't have like shadow or light informations, so that would be helpful for you. Or maybe it has a wrinkle that you want to capture, so sometimes you might do things like that, and it will not show in the overall texture, you know. So if you can see from far, it's not very obvious that we are projecting from a different area. Yeah, that's better. Again, we can do that here. Yeah, that's nice. So I can do that also on the other side. And again, to not make this boring for you guys, I will just keep doing that for another couple of minutes, and then I will just start working on it by myself without recording, and then I will show you the end result after doing that. So yeah, see you again guys in like a couple of minutes. So as you can see here guys, this is how it looks like after going more in details and painting some of the missing parts and trying to apply some texture or kind of detailed parts in the solid colors that I had before. And you can see if I hide that, oh sorry, if I had that layer, so you can see how it was before. Okay, so this is our very first initial projection, and then this is the layer where we added some of the colors over the difference in values on the textures. And this is when I started to refine my my textures and added more textures. And of course you're gonna find some stuff that looks like this, and this is where the layering that I am telling you about is gonna be helpful, like you can see here again. So what I will do next is that I merged all my layers into one to make it easier for me to use the stamp projection. And if I go on my UV, so you can see here, now it's so much easier. And what I can do now is, like I was saying before, I can give more like distinctive colors to areas like inside the eyes or inside the mouth. So let's start with that first, and then I'm gonna go to areas like here in the ears and try to fix all this mess happening here, like in the ears or in the back of the ears. And it's gonna be very easy to do that on the UV, not on the orthographic or the 3D view. So if, for example, if I add another layer here and maybe activate my wireframe, this is the decimated version, so I go here, and if I pick a color that's more like pinkish, so something like here for example, and let's try to see how it would look like. Yeah, something like that. That's great. And if I do this and try to paint inside inside the eyes with this color, something like that. So this way I would know that inside my eyes is more fleshy, it's more flesh color. And let's see how it looks like in the orthographic. So yeah, I think I can go even further with that. So one thing that you can do is that you can go here in the orthographic view and then start like defining where it should end. And this way you will know where your color should go. So if I keep going over the kind of the edge, I can go again to my decimated version to see better, and I can deactivate, come here. So yeah, this way I can see how it should look like. So you can see this breaking happening. It's not a problem once we're gonna be painting that in the UV version, it's gonna be alright. So again, this is just to like define where my pinkish kinda part should be ending. You can also do that. You can do like a UV and 3D view together, so you would see what's happening in the 3D view while you're painting in the UVs. So for example, if I'm like painting here, I'll be able to see that. Let's bake it. I will be able to see how it looks like in the 3D view. And yeah, so you can see if, for example, I paint this area, it's gonna be here. So something like that. Yes, it's covering it. And keep going. So I think I should stop in here and not go all the way up there. Yeah, this is very easy. We can just clear that later. So I will show you. In Mari, I've barely used the eraser tool. I don't understand how it works actually. It's a very weird tool. So what I do is that if I am not happy about something, I would just use my my painting brush in the clear mode. So for example, if I am not happy about this extra part in the pinkish color that's going over the eyelids, I would just go while selecting the paintbrush into clear mode, and of course you need to be on the right layer. And what it would do is that it would, instead of being a brush, it would be like an eraser. And this is actually how I would use. And then you have to pick, of course, you have to pick what you've done. And this tool, you have to always remember to switch it back again to paint, because sometimes you just forget that you did that, and then you keep trying to paint things, and you see that it's not painting. Actually, it's even making it worse. It's deleting your painting, and that's because you didn't set it back again to painting. So as you can see here, I think my UVs are not perfect in this area, but I am too lazy to fix it now, so I will try to get over that. Maybe if I go here, try again. Okay, anyways, this area is gonna be covered with our crankle, and we will not see it. So yeah, something like that. Let's see without. Perfect. And let's see like this. It's made it. Yeah, that's cool. Maybe we would make it even more pinkish. So let's see what I can do. Maybe if I add here the adjustment stack, and then I can add an HSV, for example. And then if I go to my HSV, and in the hue itself, if I move it, it's gonna change the hue. So yeah, something like that. Let's saturate it a bit darker. And as you can see, it's really difficult in Mari to use these sliders because the values are huge. So what I would do is that I would use like numbers instead. So for example, let's try -2 and see, that's better. And for example, in the saturation, so maybe -3, saturation on 1.1, and then yeah, the value. Yeah, something like that. And of course I can come here and adjust the opacity of it to just make it blend a little bit with the eye. So let's see without. Yeah, it's better. Yeah, that's better. So if I go again here, that, and try to blend it. So I'm gonna come here now, add a new layer, and then pick this color and to try to blend that. Yeah, something like this. And as you can see, if you have this ortho and UV on the same time, try to bake before moving into the other. Like for example, if I'm painting in my UV space, I have to bake before going into my ortho, because if I painted something, like for example, if I have this color and then I painted that and then I go here, it's gonna be painted here, not here. So I need to bake it first, and this way it will be painted in the right spot. So yeah, so whenever you're painting something in the UV, try to make sure that you bake it before you move into your orthographic view. So let's continue blending this a little bit, something like that. And my horrible UVs are making it more difficult. So all I would do in my UVs to fix this is just to basically just go to Maya and select these UVs, like here in this area, like here, select this area and select the UVs and just like relax them or unfold them, and it would fix this problem. So I might do that later, and then again select here. So yeah, something like that. And like I told you guys, we're gonna be using we're gonna be adding an extra geometry in this area here, which is gonna be our crankula, which is this fleshy part in this area of our eyes. You can call it the tear duct or whatever. So it's gonna be like basically covering this part here. And then again I can select this color, go back here, and then paint it. And then see how it looks like in 3D. This thing, guys, I have the same problem here. So I maybe need to paint all this area. here, like that. You can also control like how much it's showing of the 3D and how much showing of the 2D, of the UV I mean. So something like that. Nice. You can again do this trick to see how far should we go with pinkish color. Something like that. Yeah, now we know how far should we go. Then let's go inside that and paint it all over. Again, you see the mistake of not baking it while I am still on UV. So yeah, now it's better. So let's paint all that here. Sure you bake it, and yeah, that looks good. Here, bake it. Here a little, and then maybe select a different color to blend it, so I can go again to my orthographic view. Yeah, that looks fine. So in order to fix this here, I would just select like the colors that's around the area and try to paint over the white spots like that here, and try to do that with a small brush and just go over the white spots so that it doesn't look like it's painted over, to keep this nice variety of like colors around. So yeah, something like that. And this way when we go back here, it looks better. You can see this darker spots are like very distinctive, so I can just hide that. And then here, so you see now we don't have any eyelashes in this spot. Let's do the same here. So I can do this like that, select the lighter color maybe, and then select the darker color again. So yeah, something like that. This. So yeah, this way we don't have this white lashes anymore. And let me adjust my flow a little bit and adjust my opacity. Then maybe I would start working on the spots that you can see here. But for this one I prefer to do it on the UV. So I can also start using the stamp projection. Let me first maybe try to fill this with color. So if I do this, let me bake it first, and then maybe go fold, something like that. And then maybe I can go closer and like go more precise with the values to keep this nice differentiations happening in values. Maybe here I need like a lighter color, maybe blend it. Yeah, something like that. Let's get rid of these whiter kind of colors. So yeah, it's better. Let's continue like that. And then let's make an overall reddish color, maybe with a less opacity. Yeah, something like this. And for the wrinkles on the lips, don't worry guys, because we're gonna, like I said before, we're gonna add our cavity maps, which is gonna make up for that. And our cavity maps is gonna give us the right place for the right wrinkles, because it will be based on our sculpt. So it will be a so much better way of adding wrinkles or pores. So let's do this. Keep refining. Maybe get the same color and do inside the mouth. I don't remember where inside the mouth was. So let's go to our orthographic and see how it looks like. Yeah, looks better. So without and with. Nice. And let's do the inside the mouth, just a little bit for me to see which shell is inside the mouth. And this way I can go back again to my UV. Yeah, so this is the inside the mouth part. Fill it with color like that. Here. And if I go to, oops, again, same mistake. I went too fast. Let's go to UVs, go back, bake, and it's better. So yeah, now it's only inside the mouth. So yeah, if we have done that, maybe we can continue this with the nose. So if I go inside the nose here, maybe I can show our frame and do this. And do this here. Let's see how it looks like in orthographic. Yeah, better. Can even go darker in this, since you know you have like all this hair inside the nostrils, so it would make it darker. So we can go even darker. something like that. And these nasty things happening here we can fix if we work on our UV. So like that, and if I go again back to clear instead of normal, I can just clear this part here. So yeah, if I go back to orthographic and let me check this here. Yeah, you see this color happening here. It's also because of how in the UVs this shell is close to our innermost shell, so it picked up some of the colors. So if I go here and then I'm still on clear, I can just clear this part maybe. No, let's see it in UVs. So anyways, what I would do next is that I would start, I can again merge all these layers into one. So I can go here, merge layers, and then this way I can use this layer to stamp project from the existing textures that I have now. So give it some time. Mari is struggling. Yeah, let's save, because I wasn't sure about this time that Mari took to struggle. So yeah, perfect. So yeah, let's try to like project some parts, like here for example. So if I select my projection part tool, my projection tool here, it's called clone stamp. So it's basically just you select an area, you click Control on this area, and you can use it to paint. But of course, if you remember what I told you about forgetting to set back clear to normal, so sometimes if you're not used to that, you might be like going crazy why it's not working. So hopefully you guys don't do this mistake. And then you see how nice now we can blend our textures and get rid of this solid color in the middle. So I can again go like that, and then oops, and then Control, and then paint over this part, something like that. Here maybe. And then I can take from this area here and then fill this part. And then maybe here can hide this segregation happening in the textures. Maybe here a little bit. Maybe from this one to this one, something like that. So yeah, that's cool. And then maybe also on these parts, like here or here. And of course you have to bake every time you're stamping something or projecting something. So maybe that, like that. And this part, do that. Maybe from here. Maybe here, just to cover these white hairs that's showing from the projection, to try to blend a little bit between the reddish and the yellowish colors. And again here, again to blend a little bit, maybe. So something like that. Get rid of the whites. And again here. So let's see how this looks in orthographic now. So yeah, that's so much nicer now. And as you can see here, this happening. So maybe we can do it in 3D. So we can blend a little bit. So don't worry about this artifacts showing, because we're gonna paint on it again. Something like that. This here. And yeah, it looks better. Maybe you can blend a little bit in this area here. So if we see this like with the shader on, it's gonna look nicer now. So as you can see here, that is so nice. Let's see it with the simulate more. Yeah, that's perfect. That's awesome. And maybe we can again like use color to fix some of the areas. Like for example, I can use this color here to maybe cover this whiter details. Wrong color. This and sorry guys, I'm not using the brush. So here, yeah, perfect. So we can also use that here a little bit, blend our colors together. And yeah, that's so much nicer now. Maybe in this area, bring a little bit of the reddish colors, like that. And then we can maybe select a medium color and try to like cover a little bit of these whiter spots. Like that. Maybe in here. Another color. So yeah. And then we can also again try our stamp clone stamp, sorry, and then get rid of this here. Again here. So it's basically, guys, just you going over and trying to fix the parts that you see are separated in a weird way, like here. So you can use either the clone stamp tool and stamp from some of the existing textures, or you can use like a soft brush and like paint gently over it. And it doesn't need to be totally perfect, because like I told you before many times, it will not be that obvious in the skin shader. So we might even end up painting some of these like veins at the end to make it show better by our hands, or using a procedural way. Like for example, you can just go crazy and paint this kind of veins side. But yeah, this is gonna be in our kind of refining phase, and in the very final steps of texturing. So yeah, something like that. Maybe I know I don't like this part here. Maybe I can go to clear and then clear a little bit this area. Like that here. And then go to paint, normal, and then paint it back again in these parts. Maybe I can use like a yellowish skin color. So yeah, it's basically a lot of that happening, blending, trying to make your texture doesn't look like it's just a bunch of photos that's being projected on a surface. So yeah, I will continue doing that to the other ear, and then I'll come back to you guys with how we are gonna start using some procedural methods to add more details to our skin textures, and also I will show you how we are gonna use our sculpting details to enhance our color textures. Okay, see you in a minute. So as you can see here, guys, that's how it looks now so far. If I had the layer, so this is after like more refining and removing some of the weird noises and artifacts that was in the texture. And let's see now how it looks like. So yeah, it looks really nice for now. And the next things we're gonna be doing is to add like more frequency and irregularity to the texture, and then we're gonna add our sculpture details. So if, for example, I added a procedural clouds layer on top So that's how it looks like. If I made the size smaller, something as small as how human skin would break. And for the roughness, let's not make it very rough, so let's bring it down. We want it to be kind of blurry. And if I hide this layer and then go to my color layer, if you see here, these are the colors that it's used in the procedural texturing. So if I choose the first color and then use like with the eyedropper, use like a lighter color that I can see here, like for example, if I use a light color like in here, so something like that, this is going to be my light color. And if I go again and choose a darker color, so maybe something like that, so that would be my darker color. And then if I have my cloud procedural texture on, that's how it's gonna look like. And then for example, if I go to contrast, maybe, yeah, this way it would bring a lot of details and like noise in our texture map. And this kind of noise adds more life to our texture. So you see a before and after, and you can see it better with the shader on, because like I said before, we're gonna be looking always at our textures and how they will look with the texture on, with the shader on, not just as a flat texture. So that's a nice trick to add a little bit of contrast into our textures, and this also assures us that we won't have like an area with just flat colors. So for example, if you remember, we were painting inside the eyes with flat colors, so you can see that now they have something happening in there, so we will never end up with like flat colors in our texture map. So yeah, something like this is really, really cool. And again, we can do this this other thing that we talked about, like adding differences in our variations in our colors, and how it's like based on the parts of the face. So for example, if I come here and maybe I would add a new layer and start to, let's move this out of the way and start to add this color variations that we were talking about. Like for example, if I come here, need something yellowish, kind of like that here, and just start painting on the forehead like that. And maybe get some red. And yes, as you can see, I'm like going crazy with the colors, because of course I'm gonna use a very, very minute level of that. Something like that. And it won't be a big problem if this happened, because like I told you, we're gonna just use a very, very subtle value of that. Maybe a little bit on the cheeks. Again here on the other side. ears. The lips. Maybe get a color that's kinda like purple, gray, like that. Like go crazy with the inner sides of the eyes here. And maybe a greenish, kind of gray. For the beard. So something like that. And if I use a kinda adjustment layer, like soft light or overlay. For example, soft light works fine in this, and then I can bring it down, and yeah, something like 0.3 or 0.2, which again, guys, it's I know that it's very subtle, but this is how you would make a successful color texture. It's just a lot of layers of very subtle changes. That's basically it. You keep making layers and layers of subtle changes, adding noise, adding details, adding color variations, adding veins, adding pores, and that's how you end up with kind of successful uh, uh, color map. So let me also maybe get the same color that we used for the beard. Maybe get like a lighter version of it, and we can use it for the head, like where his shaved hair is gonna be. So something like that. And now it's like taking long time to bake because we are covering bigger areas. So have in mind that we are using AK maps. So yeah, like this, that, here. So maybe we can even like go a little bit darker, or let's not, because we're gonna have this darker color once we add our shaved hair. So we're gonna groom that in next gen, and when we groom this, it will add this kind of effect, like it's darker in the areas where there is this stubble kind of hair on the shaved head. So yeah, something like that is really nice. Yeah. So what we will do next, guys, is that we're gonna add the extra details that's coming from our cavity map. So it's basically the pores and all the details and wrinkles that we sculpted on the model. We're gonna use that to add more details to our color map, and it's gonna help us combine the color map with the sculpt and make it fit. And so yeah, I'm gonna stop it here, go to ZBrush, and show you how I bake my displacement maps and how I use a software like Nulled to get some kind of cavity maps from my displacement map that I can use to add the details. So yeah, see you in a sec. So here I am inside ZBrush. We have our sculpt with all the fine details that we added in our layers, and as you can see, this is like the whole thing, and this is only the face. So what I will do, guys, now is that I will show you how I extract my displacement maps. So the way I would do it is that I go to my Z plugin. I think it is docked in here. So yeah, the Z plugin, and then in Z plugin you have your multi-map exporter, and in the multi-map exporter you can choose displacement, and in the export option go to displacement map, and it for really fine details I would use the adaptive, and I would use my subpixel up to 4, and this I will use in my displacement map, like in the final displacement map. But these two options, they make the time of your displacement map go like really crazy high. So for this I'm gonna only make a displacement map that I'm gonna use only for the cavity details. So for this I would turn off the adaptive, and I will keep the dB sub x to 1 or 0, something like that. And then of course keep the smooth UVs, and I always use my mid on 0 and 3 channels, EXR 32-bit, the intensity of course on 0, the scale on 1, and like I told you guys, I'm gonna be using my second subdivision as my main base mesh. So this means that when I make my displacement map, I'm gonna be going to the second subdivision. Again, this is not gonna make a huge difference in our map now, because the map that we are picking now, we're gonna just use it for making the like cavity details. So I can just go to 1 for now. Actually, it will help me to capture more details. And yeah, I need an 8K map. I don't need subtools because I have the head in one subtool. I don't need to merge the maps, because you merge the maps if you're using more than one subtool and they share the same UVs, so you need to merge the maps. And yeah, that's basically it. So that's it for my displacement map. And create all maps, and then just folder, let's call it DSP for now, and yeah, just save this here. So it will take some time, so I will pause here and see you again, guys, in a sec. So as you can see, guys, now my displacement map pick is done, and it took almost 22 minutes, but again, that's because I didn't use the adaptive, or I didn't go higher with the sub picks. So what I will do next is that I will take the displacement map that I made and import it into Nalt, and that's how it looks like when I imported it. So it just the software is called Nald, KNALD, and it's an amazing software that you can use to basically convert your displacement map to some amazing utility maps, like ambient occlusion or concavity or convexity or curvature, that you can use to like mask your details inside Mari, or you can use to overlay it to add more details to your color map. You can also use it to help you to paint a better specular map and roughness map. So it's an amazing software. So what I do is just basically I just go to file and then I load height map and then I load my displacement map, and that's how my displacement map looks like when I import it. And then if you go to, for example, ambient occlusion, so that's how my ambient occlusion map looks like. And this is amazing because I can use this as a mask to like mask my the areas where there is no light, and like add darker colors in there, or I can even like mask to add more details to the skin. And also I love using this map, the concavity map, and this way I can add an extra layer of darker colors to where my wrinkles are and where my pores are. So this is amazing. So what I would do now is that I'm gonna export these maps and then go back again to Mari and show you guys how I'm using them. So here we are here in Mari, and that's where we stopped with our color map. So let me add a new layer and then import into layer, and then I'm gonna import first my convexity map, my concavity map, sorry. So I'm gonna select my concavity map, import all patches. It's gonna take its time. And yeah, so that's how my concavity map looks like. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna go to add adjustment stack and then add something like color balance. And then in my color balance, I'm gonna make my colors go more into red, kind of reddish color. So yeah, something like that. Don't be afraid, go crazy. We can adjust that anytime we want. And if I set my layer to multiply and then go lower with my opacity, so you can see this really nice extra details that it adds, and it's based on the wrinkles that's coming from the fine wrinkles that's coming from the sculpt itself. So it's very subtle, but it makes a huge difference. So I can show you guys, like for example, if I come here like close to the nose and then if I hide it, you see, so it's adding these really fine details to where the smaller wrinkles are gonna be, and most importantly also the bigger wrinkles, like for example the wrinkles on the forehead here. So without, and this is with, which is really nice. And again here in the lips we cannot see that much, and that's why I like to duplicate this. So I'm gonna like copy, oops, oh, come on, gonna go here, this one, copy and paste, and then you can see that it's adding more details. So before doing that, let me also show you another cool thing. So if I remove this one that I just copied, remove layers, so you can see that it's the effect is really harsh, especially if I go higher like that. It starts to look like a mosaic or something like that. So what I would do is that I would go in into filter and then blur, and I can just blur it And when I blur it, I can, so let's apply on 2, for example, and it's gonna take some time. But when I blur it, I can see that it's really saturated, so I will try to make this saturation a little bit less. It's gonna be my next step, and maybe also adjust the levels a little bit to make it darker, especially that this is gonna be like the shadow parts. So it's gonna take some time since we are using 8K maps. So yeah, that's it. So as you can see here, the details are really nice, but it's really saturated, so I can add another stack. So adjustment stack, So if I go here and then add another stack, it's gonna be like maybe HSV, and then in this one I can lower my saturation and then maybe raise the value. So something like, no, let's make more like this. Yep. And then I can also go again to my adjustment stack and go to the color balance and make my red a little bit less here, so it would be less saturated, and maybe also with my midtones. Yes, something like that. That's really nice. So again, without and with, it's really subtle, but it's really amazing, and it adds really nice details that we would use later to make our color map sits well with the sculpting itself, with the sculpting details. So again, like in the forehead, so without is like that, and with is like that. So what I would do next is that I would copy, for example, this layer, copy, and then paste it. And what I would do is that I would add a mask, so layer mask, add mask, and then hide all, so it wouldn't work, it wouldn't show any of my details. And then if I go to my colors here, so paint with white the areas that I want to show, like for example on the lips, I can actually go to UV for that, and then come here and start painting the parts that I want to show, because I want like darker wrinkles in the lips area. And let's see, where else would like that. I think it's fine just for the lips for now. And then I can go again in my layer stack and in my HSV, and then give it like a darker value. Yeah, something like that maybe. And in the color balance, make it less of a red, so less red. And then I can also go up here and make it more obvious. And then if I go to my ortho, so you can see that now the wrinkles on the lips are showing so much better now. So again, to show you guys, so without is like this, and width is like that. And again, it's very subtle, but I'm getting tired saying that, but so you guys would remember this always. It is subtle, but it's all about adding a lot of subtle layers of details. So yeah, so something like that's really nice. Can save. And yeah, so that's it for now, guys. What we're gonna do next is that we're gonna start painting our texture map for the eyes, and then we're gonna start taking our model inside Maya and start applying these maps and start working on our skin shader. And the process is always that we always end up going back again to Mari to refine our textures, because we are going to see things that we weren't seeing while working on the Mari shader. So once we are gonna have our skin shader with the subsurface scattering inside Maya, we're gonna see a lot of stuff that we weren't seeing at all while working on this. So that's it, guys, for this video, and see you in next video. So cheers.